Neighbours drops to number 4 in my rankings from number 3 last month, but it is a number 4 for March. There's really been only 3 main storylines on Neighbours. Maybe you can make an argument for 4 or 5, but some of them are on more than others, and some of them I like more than others. I still feel like overall, with Neighbours' impending doom, I guess, but really they're just months away from the last episode of Neighbours, possibly ever, unless it somehow comes back in the future, that I still feel like it's good overall, and it's better than Home and Away in Australia so far in 2022. We'll first talk about Paul. He faked an illness back in February to try and get Therese back. But in March, it seemed like his health was declining for real. And he kind of became the boy who cried wolf because everyone was just thought he was still faking it to try and get Therese back. Not even his son, David, would believe him. Of course, Therese wouldn't, and Glenn wouldn't, his brother. Nobody believed him, but then he passed out for real. And Glenn ended up finding him, bringing him to the hospital. So it seems like something could actually be wrong with Paul, even though Therese still not believing him. So that was one of the stories. They're still trying to play that Paul and Therese relationship. We'll see where it ends up with only months left of Neighbours. Now, I've talked a lot about the Zara storyline and how I have enjoyed it overall. We kind of got a climax of that, and I don't know if I like the climax we're getting, because Zara was being built up as this possibly really good vixen character, but in the end I feel like they're going to try to redeem her going forward, and it's just a little quick for me. But then I have to remember, hey, Neighbours is ending soon, so it doesn't really even matter if Zara's not going out a vixen, because the show's ending and she's so new. But we got a climax to the story, because it finally all came out. All Zara was doing to try and pretend like she and Hendrix were dating, they ended up kissing and everything, and it all comes out to Mackenzie, who is Hendrix's girlfriend. So of course she's not happy about it. That led to some fights and confrontations, but then there's been all these fires started at the school, and Zara was being blamed for them, even though it was her hoity-toity bitchy friends. And so there's a fire started. Mackenzie and Zara get trapped together. Zara gets out, but Mackenzie doesn't. Hendrix goes into the fire to save Mackenzie. So, building on that couple, Hendrix being the hero for his girl after their issues because of Zara. Mackenzie is saved by Hendrix, but she inhaled a lot of smoke, is in the hospital for a while, but comes out of it. And Mackenzie is the one that believes that Zara did not start the fire. And so Hendrix goes out of his way to prove that she did not start it. And Hendrix gets one of Zara's hoity-toity friends to confess. So, overall, I still thought the story was good, and I think it had a good climax because of all the fires, and then the big fire that they get trapped in. They tied in Hendrix saving Mackenzie, and then both Mackenzie and Hendrix wanting to prove Zara's innocence after all she did, because, Hendrix and Mackenzie, just these baby-face characters, just the good guys. But it was good. I just, Zara's going to probably be tamed, man, now. And she was one of the more interesting parts of this show. And then this other story had a climax as well, Levi and Freya. But there was a big hole in the story for me, and that's kind of why I dropped Neighbours a spot and felt like the top 3 were just better. Because, Levi's been searching for Freya's ex, because Freya says he just disappeared. And during this, Levi gets a gun pulled on him, and then we get... the one good thing about the story is we got a lot of twists. And I say this about the American soap operas a lot, and the British soap operas. If you're going to have long stories, and this one wasn't long, but if you're going to have long stories, give the story enough twists and turns to make it interesting, so you're not just treading water all the time, or you're not just becoming this long, drawn-out, boring story. So they gave us a lot of twists where... it seems like because of all this, Levi and Freya are getting close again. and that has Levi's friends really wondering about Freya. So they go and find her ex is found by, not by Levi, even though he's the cop, but her ex is found, and her ex ends up saying that Freya was this huge stalker, and that's why he went into hiding, to get away from her. So that, of course, has the eyes set on Freya again. Is Freya really the villain? So that was a good twist there. But then there's this big old camping trip thing, and somehow the ex tracks down Levi and Freya, and he's all upset with Levi out of nowhere, and they go for a gun, and they have this big old fight, and he ends up hitting and almost possibly killing Aaron. We still don't know. And David, then they get into this wreck, and he goes through the windshield, and David leaves him for dead because of what he did to Aaron. I don't know. I mean, it was a lot. It was a good climax, but the whole for me is, I still don't understand why he disappeared in the first place. Like, was he just trying to, I don't know. This is convoluted to me, because he was supposed to be this cop who might have disappeared because of Case, but then maybe he really just disappeared to run away with another girl. I don't know. The whole explanation didn't work for me, and it left a big hole in the story, even though it was otherwise a pretty engrossing story. But the big hole I had to count as a negative for me. But that is where we stand with Neighbours. Those were the 3 main stories. I mean, we also had, leading up to Aaron being attacked by Gareth, who is Freya's ex, was that Aaron was getting really jealous of David's friend Dean and all the things David was talking about to Dean about their relationship. So they were having problems before Aaron's possible death. I mean, Aaron's in the hospital last time I watched. So, yeah. Enough intense storylines for Neighbours and Marsh to still make it good. But it falls a spot to number 4 because the writing just isn't as strong as I would like it to be.